Welcome to the Rising Consciousness Show, 20 minutes of soulful insights and powerful tools to elevate your life experience and create with higher clarity, intention, and vision. I'm Tara Antler, intuitive healer and soul coach.
And I'm King Gabriel, spiritual teacher and practitioner. And we are the co-founders of Ascension Academy of Life,
a global center for spiritual growth, intuitive healing, and soul alignment.
Get ready to blast off.
The root is on fire.
Yes, indeed.
No, today we're talking about the root. And
Yes.
Gabriel was just sharing a really fascinating story with me. He said, Did you know? Have you ever actually had your root on fire? I go, I don't think so.
No, actually, if you mess with the bandhas, right, which is the locks on your root chakra, and you pull that up, it can actually feel like fire under there. Like it could burn for days. Like for real. You know, so it's not joking. Huh?
I said to him, no, I've never had that experience.
No, that can happen. It burns. It's like fire. For real. Yeah.
Welcome back. We're so happy to be here with you. We're feeling a little playful, a little joyful, but we are going to be on about the root chakra today.
Indeed. Survival.
Survival. You know, there's a lot of shaking and shifting happening on planet Earth and within everybody's root chakras right now. And I feel like because there's so many changes that are happening on the planet, belief systems are changing, systems are changing, work is changing, family dynamics are changing, like the whole
Some people's idea of themselves are changing right now, and it's like, oh my gosh, the whole world is falling apart. Will I make it? Will I survive? That type of scenario, right?
And that's why we were kind of laughing. We're like, the roots are on fire, right? But it's like, think about, there's certain forests in the world, actually, BC and down in California, that there's certain trees that can only reseed and reroot themselves after a fire.
In California as well, the certain pine tree. The heat, you go
ahead. I was just gonna say it's intense heat. The fire, it's the only thing that can actually open up those pine cones to release the seeds, so that the earth can then also have a lot of sulfites and nourishment in the ground and the soil and the earth itself.
Nitrates,
so that the seeds can actually take shape and form and grow new trees. That's the only time that those specific trees can repopulate.
And that specific seed needs the intense heat of the fire for the shell to even crack open in the first place, right?
And think about that right now on planet Earth.
I
think everybody's under a little pressure and a little heat. Maybe not everybody, but a lot of people are moving through some heat and some transformation and some fire and some changes. And I would say that a lot of our community, our Thrive 365ers, which is our spiritual incubator, and a lot of the students that are with us, maybe a little bit of fire and a little bit of heat, but I would say everybody's really thriving and doing exceptionally well.
They're using it as the impetus to crack their seeds and to grow into the trees that they are. So
and not resist the fire, not resist the heat, not resist the changes and the transformation and the shaking of the roots, which is a natural state. It's a natural reformation, right? We come into this world, we're always evolving, we're always changing, we're reformulating, we're regrouping, we're regrowing, we're ever evolving. We ground our roots and then we lift them up and we transform and then we plant some new roots, and that's just a natural part of change and the evolution. And we're in a really big evolutionary change right now. And so we wanted to bring some tools and some insight forward to really help you get some new footing, maybe clear out some of the old, and a lot of times people will talk about beliefs being more of the mind, right? And they're in your mind. We just took a pause for a second and I was grabbing some water, and what came to me was, yes, it's in your mind. Your mind formulates, takes on shapes and creates and reflects and projects all of these thoughts and these belief systems. What I heard though was that where they really anchor themselves is they root themselves in your root. Like they actually root themselves right into your foundation. So that could be the foundation at your feet. That could be the foundation in your legs, your knees, the lower hips, that lower, mula bandha area.
Mula bandha.
And also into your teeth, because your teeth are, yes, they're up top and they're in your head, but your teeth have roots, right? And a lot of times when people have teeth problems or issues with their teeth, it's the root system that has decayed or faltered, or something's off about the root system, the family of origin, or maybe it's the belief systems. There's something off that literally shakes up and starts to not work in our favor. And I've seen a lot of times when people can heal those foundational pieces, whether it be the family, the ancestors themselves, their belief systems, the world that they live in, when they can adapt and grow and shift and heal, then that pain in the teeth can actually subside, the teeth get stronger, they can regrow, they can rebuild. And the same is true of you. You can regrow, you can rebuild, you can reshape yourself.
Yes, indeed. And the roots really tend to take root in your upbringing, your family life, all of these things as a young one, right? That was the beginning of life, just like a plant has roots in the beginning, and that's where it shoots from. Now, the roots go deep, right? They go deep. And sometimes when we can pay attention to our roots, we realize that some of the things that we may have to address later in life, right, may just be related to those root things. Now, that doesn't mean that we go dwelling in the roots forever or live in the roots forever, but we recognize that if there's a failure to grow, a failure to expand in certain areas, then it may just be that we have to check the roots and make sure that they're clear, they're not blocked by obstacles, not blocked by rocks, not unable to get water because something's blocking them. And then when we create that change or make space for that, then all of a sudden the plant is nourished, right? Our life is nourished. So it's not something, again, that we stay with forever, but we recognize it. And as we recognize it, we are willing to remove the blocks. Sometimes the blocks may come up in the form of, as I said, things with family life, things that are automatic in our system because we've seen it and been through it so many times in that infant state or in that early state that it's almost like, this is just the way I am. That's how it usually comes up.
And
it feels like, this is
that.
how I am, right? No,
that's just how it is, or that's just who I am.
Exactly. You know, it's not who you are, it's who you chose to be at a specific point in time, and it's open for change if you're open to change as well, right?
I think that's the key right there.
Yep.
And I think sometimes we lock ourselves in because it is familiar and we have practiced it, or we have lived it, we have rooted it enough times that it becomes what we think. It becomes a part of who we are. And that's fine until it doesn't serve us anymore. And how you know it's time to change the roots or the belief systems or the identity, your sense of security, your systems, your structures, what your foundation, what your life is built upon, is usually you hit that brick wall. Something stops working. Things start to become rather challenging, whether it be our relationships become challenging, repeat cycles. That's a really great indication. And we've seen that a lot of times with clients, right? Where it's like repeat.
Same
or you'll
thing
hear
on
from
a
people,
cycle.
you'll hear from people and they're like, well, the last spiritual healer that I worked with was ba, 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 ba. And you just know now, Gabriel and I were like, oh boy, if we step into this, we know we're next. We're next if they don't heal it,
they'll be talking
right?
about us as the last spiritual, exactly.
And it's the same thing with relationships, right? You hear people, and especially, for both of us, we've had clients, we've had a lot of new clients, and we have a lot of repeat clients, right? And when you get to work with clients for not just a year or two, but for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, some of our clients, oh boy, you really can see the cycles, right? And the fun thing is being able to show them their cycles too, to say, hey, we've talked about this probably 8 times, like
in a loving way, obviously, so that they can become aware of it, right?
But to really bring that into awareness, especially when there's like a relationship thing, right? Where they're like, oh my gosh, I've entered into this job and the boss, and you're like, this sounds really familiar. And you start kind of like, as the person who's facilitating and holding the space for them, I'm like, I believe we've talked about this in the last 3 jobs that you had. Or somebody says, oh yeah, this partner, first it's all great as roses, is wonderful. And then all of a sudden, 6 months, 8 months, a year down the road, they're like, oh my God. And you hear all the story, you hear the whole thing, and you're like,
the story sounds exactly like the last
relationship,
again, right?
and the last relationship, and the last relationship. And so it's really about looking at our patterns. So look at when you hit those brick walls, when something's not working, when something feels like push, when life doesn't feel like it's moving forward, or watch your repetition, watch your patterns, because those patterns are coming up. They do trip us up, for sure. They trip us up, but they're tripping us up so that we can actually pay attention to it and be like, whoa. Do I want to get back on that same treadmill and run that same cycle again and again and again and again and again and actually never get anywhere and never really change and never really grow? Or am I willing to step off that treadmill for a second, take a look at it and be like, yeah, I've done that 8 times in a row now and I'm actually done with that. I'm going to choose something different. And usually that choosing something different requires a reworking of yourself. Your belief systems, who you think you are and what you're ready to let go of, and maybe reshape, regrow, relearn, rejig, and also building a new internal foundation. An internal foundation isn't just your physical dwelling or a physical job or a physical relationship. Most of the time, as you know, it's an inside job, right? So it's the internal workings, how you feel, how you navigate your emotions, how you think. What are you thinking about the world and yourself? All of those internal work is your consciousness, right? Where is your consciousness regularly? Is it elevated or is it poo-poo? Like, where is it, or somewhere in between, right?
Or is it poo-poo?
Is it poo-poo?
I love that. Yeah. So when you really think about the root thing too, as Tara was saying, if your roots have all of this stuff from the past in it, which is what we're talking about at the same time, and it's there, it's in there, it feels like it's rooted and you're making cycles and repeating the same cycles, then when you bounce up against a cycle like that, in a sense, it's an opportunity to deal with that part of the root that's brought to your awareness. That's what it is, right? Because when it shows up is the only time you know it's there. Besides that, it's just hidden, right? So when it shows up, you have a very unique opportunity. And here's how it goes. Root shows you, okay, I'm acting like this, and I stand aside and I look at it. I can then go back to that place where that root was and bring my conscious aware self with the heart, like we spoke about in one of our last episodes, and bring love to that situation to the point where I now view myself differently, because we said it changes your view of yourself. And whoever else was in the situation is now given love too. So then the root itself is now clear. There's nothing around the root to block it anymore. And the situation is that energy, that information can come through us in a way that reflects now in a fact that the past was never like we thought it was again. We change ourselves by that. So even if it was childhood, I'll give a real example of it. Let's say in childhood something happened and someone told you something that affected you really badly, right? And you've held it all your life up to this point, and you still think of yourself that way. And it shows up again and again in situations because it's like, oh, I'm too loud, or I'm too this, or something that your parents may have said to you, not really paying attention to what they were saying, right? Then what would happen is, if you can visit that and it comes up for you, and you can share love, you're loving that child in that moment. And that child is feeling loved and supported. So then that child reports back to you as energy saying, hey, you're okay, buddy.
You're loved and supported.
You're okay. Everything is good with you. And then that part of you can now grow again.
It grows up.
Yes.
It actually grows up. Vibrationally, energetically, consciously, it grows up.
Yeah. So that's a beautiful way to get back to that root. And in a sense, clear those bricks around, clear those blocks, right? And allow you to be able to take up that water, take up that nourishment, and nourish the self, nourish the being. Realize that the being is nourished. Yeah.
And if you want to go deeper on this, just as a side note, if you want to go deeper on this is something that we actually do in our Thrive 365 community and incubator. It's a spiritual incubator. And we have an entire 3 months dedicated to this sort of thing, like cleaning out the old, cleaning out the belief systems, cleaning out and healing the relationships past. We just finished that in the Abundance Accelerator work that we were doing. We're in this section of money mastery and manifestation mastery, and we even bring cleaning out the root into that, because if people want to create more abundance, create more money, and really become masterful manifestors, we have to be willing to clean out the root and reestablish really healthy root systems, or else we keep creating and experiencing the exact same thing based on those foundational pieces that all exist within the root. So you could go into your mind and you can be like, I'm going to have a strong mindset. I'm going to think positive. I'm going to have a vision board. I'm going to see all the greatest things in the world. I'm going to know that of myself. If your root system still is hanging on to stuff from your past, that is detrimental to you thriving and detrimental to you becoming a really powerful, beautiful manifester, you will get some of the stuff on the top that you're mentally like surface creating level, surface level, that you're saying, yes, I want this. When it comes to the really big things though that matter, like really deep, beautiful relationships, the dream life that you've ever wanted to experience, the soul purpose that you want to live, the creativity that you really want to bring forward onto the planet, massive, beautiful amounts of wealth and prosperity, then you really have to do that internal digging, and not digging forever and not digging for long, but just being willing to resurface those roots, to kind of look at them, to clean them out, to heal them, and to start to create some new ones.
Yeah, and that's huge, because that chakra is, or that root place is actually about survival, right? So if in some way you getting whatever the mind is thinking of as amazing feels like a threat to you, feels like a threat in terms of survival or in terms of well-being, it'll be hard for you to have that come through. In fact, it'll be almost impossible because you're there trying to survive.
Yeah.
You want to live. And this thing could be threatening for you. And when I say threatening, it could be an idea like something like, oh, when you're rich, it means that you won't pay attention to your health or something like that. And all of those sorts of thoughts. When those things are underlying because of experience, when you get there and you have the opportunity to do that thing, it's like, no, I don't really want that. That's what really is happening within you. It's like, yes, I want that mentally, but
there's a resistance.
The visceral reaction within you is like, no, that's a threat. That's danger. That's really what it boils down to. So,
and it rejects it.
It rejects it. So when we can really get down there, like Tara said, and we do it really well in Thrive 365, when we get down there and we get into that, and we can not even go digging up in it, but make space, make room, send love and clear out those past beliefs that would have stopped us there, then all of a sudden, it's like, okay, this is now a viable option. I can actually do this and I won't die. It's all right. All right.
The analogy that just came to me is, you know, in the forest, when you go to plant a tree or the forest has already planted its trees and reseeded itself, you can see that if the tree has enough space around it and there's not too many competing other plants and trees around it, the tree can thrive and grow really, really strong and powerful. If there are competing trees around it, though, it doesn't have the same space or the same amount of, just space to grow. Then what happens is it gets choked out. And that happens to a lot of trees. If they grow too close to each other, they get choked out. And the same is true if you are wanting to, let's say, plant a new foundation of abundance or health or healthy relationships or whatever it is that you're really focused upon and you really want to create for yourself. You're like, yes, I'm planting this new thought. I'm planting this new idea. I'm planting this new creational seed. I'm planting it firmly within my body, within my consciousness, within my being, within the earth. I'm grounding it. I'm rooting it.
In the roots.
And then you're like, why isn't it taking shape? Why isn't it growing? What's going on here? And usually when I hear that, the moment I look at somebody and I go, oh, there's some old stuff here. There's literally competing objects that are rooted within inside of your body and your consciousness and your energy field that are literally taking up massive amounts of space and energy, that are creating a competition field. And so that new thought that you have and those new creations that you have, it actually can't really root itself because these other things are occupying so much space. And so the moment we clear it, the moment we release it, and I'm not talking about, 10 years of digging and clearing. I'm talking like one session. One session, done. Right? No joke. We've had this happen. We've had, over 100 people go through Thrive 365 right now. We're January or February 2021 as we're recording this. And
we've had people
fast. It's really fast and
actually
effective.
Say within it that in the 2 weeks, in the 2 weeks they spent in Thrive 365, that it was better than 15 years of therapy. It had done more for them than 15 years of therapy had done for them. They said that, right, directly to us and as testimonials. So when you think about it, it's all about your approach. And I believe not to criticize therapy in any way at all. This is not to criticize therapy,
there's a place
right?
for it,
That's
for
a
sure.
place. There's a place for that. But it's just a different approach, and when you deal with things from another perspective, sometimes you see ways come through that you may not have seen before. And this is one of those times, because when you can dive into it and look at those roots and clear whatever was there, you're making space. Just like Tara just said, you're making space. And in that space, what you really want to grow can grow. It's not a matter of a lack of willpower or anything like that. Sometimes it's just a matter of a split mind. You're split on certain decisions and certain thoughts and threats and all of that stuff. So when we can clear that stuff with the new thoughts, then all of a sudden there's the space for it. It's encouraged to grow.
And the root chakra really is that space of security, safety, money, finances, stability, family of origin, ancestors, how you feel in the world, how you create in the world, how you navigate the world. So to a certain degree, your relationships as well. Anything that you basically want to experience on planet Earth, that exists within the root chakra, because you're here to not just hover above the earth and create in the sky. We're here with our feet on the ground for a reason. We're here to take those big, beautiful ideas that we have from source, from creator, from the divine, from the higher consciousness, and embody them, bring them down and root them and experience them and create them. And we found that the easiest way to be able to do that is really cleaning house, cleaning your internal vessel. And so the practice that I would say to kind of kickstart that for you, and you can always, reach out to us if you want to learn more about Thrive 365, or if you want that extra support, come into our community. It's a really beautiful space to hang out. We love it there. Our clients, our students love it there. It's amazing. It's like there's so much love. But I would say to kickstart it right now is to just pay attention to your patterns. Pay attention to what's showing up. Pay attention to anything that you're wanting to move forward. If you're hitting a wall, there's usually something in the root system. There's usually something in that root that needs to be burned up, just like those trees in the forest that kind of have to burn up to replenish and recreate and start something new. And one more thought that I have about that is right now on the planet, there is a lot of restructuring that's happening. There are a lot of systems that are falling. There are systems that have already fallen, and there are more to yet fall. And a lot of people could be shaking in their boots right now, like freaking the F out, because that is their whole world, their whole belief system, their whole life has been shaped around this particular system. Of whatever's happening, and all of that is falling, has fallen, or stuff is yet to fall. And so I bring that forward because if you're in the midst of that, or if you're about to experience that, I want you to know that everything's okay. That you're going to be okay, your family's okay, everything's going to be okay. This is a natural part of how when new civilizations get created, a lot of times the old civilization has to fall. When new systems and new ways of being in the world or functioning in the world that serve on the higher levels come into being, the old outdated ones have to fall. And so this is what's happening across the board right now as a society, a civilization on the planet. And it's also happening for a lot of people internally as well. So I just wanted to bring that forward because that can be happening. Some of you might be good on your inside and be like, I'm good, my world's good. And then you look out there and you're like, what the heck is happening? Like, I don't even know what's going on right now. Or you could be in the opposite space, right? So I just bring that forward because internal, external, it's all connected and everything's okay. Everything's okay, right?
Yep. You've made it.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us today. We are so excited to connect with you in the next episode. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comments below. Reach out to us. If you want to learn more about Thrive 365, our spiritual incubator and community, reach out to Gabriel or I or post in the comments, and we are more than happy to connect with you. And come and join us in our group as well. It's a beautiful space to hang out.
Join us in I Rise and Thrive.
Amazing. Have a great day.
Ciao.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Rising Consciousness Show today. To join our Facebook group, all you need to do is go to www.facebook.com/groups/I Rise and Thrive.